All right, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? All right, excellent. My name is Mansoor Shams. I am a Muslim U.S. Marine veteran, also the founder of MuslimMarine.org. I made Muslim Marine a few years back with the sort of idea to combat hate, bigotry, and Islamophobia through education, conversation, and dialogue. I think that's the recipe or the cure to all the sort of things that we're seeing. And in this presentation, I'm going to try to take us through different areas. One is, I'm sure that you've probably heard about something called implicit bias, right? The way things shape our mentalities and the way we see life. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Islam 101. And we're going to do a little bit of Muslim culture and tradition. I think the more informed you are, the better. But as I begin, I also wanted to remind everyone, we'll have a Q&A session towards the end of this. It'll be open. You can ask whatever questions you want. Now, even when I say this, I realize that there's a hesitation among certain people that they still don't ask the question that they want. Or they're waiting for someone else to ask. Or they think I might get offended or somebody else may get offended. I can tell you personally that I will not get offended. So please do exercise that. However, if you still don't have that courage, there is some stickies on your tables. And Marika has, back there, committed to me that she will pick those stickies up and she will also bring them to myself. So anytime you have a question in this process, we'll do it at the end, but just keep that in mind. And of course, we'll go with the hand first. But as we begin, the first question is that I want to ask you something, okay? And we're going to just go over a few of these questions. And the idea for me here is to understand where everyone here actually stands. Where do they see, where do they see things not only for yourselves, but also for me? So what's the difference between a Muslim and Islam? And anybody can just raise their hand all the way to, yeah, that's Marine role right there, hero. The first one. Pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So Muslims are people who follow the faith of Islam. On point. Thank you. You'll be surprised how many people did not know that. Now, what's the largest Muslim country in the world? All right, this crowd's pretty good. All right. I thought I was like, Saudi Arabia. I was waiting for Saudi Arabia. All right, what's the approximate percentage of Muslims in the United States? What's the approximate percentage of Muslims that live in the United States of America? 10, 5, 2, 3. Less than 1%. Less than 1%. You know, in real life, we despise bullying, right? We talk about this all the time. How much bullying is a bad thing, right? So imagine the less than 1%, how much they feel in the America that they live in today sometimes. How long have Muslims been in the United States? Founding of the nation. There you go. Founding of the nation. For well over 200 years. And how many people have never met a Muslim? Just a show of hands, if possible, in their life. They've never met a Muslim in their life. You know, don't be shy. You know, the reason is there's actually a Pew poll that says that 62% of Americans have never met a Muslim. So really, it's not a shock if the hands are going up here. Anyone else? Never met a Muslim? How many people have never met a Muslim Marine with the exception of today? All right, next slide. That's the video. Yeah. So this is a video. I hope that you will.
Oh my God. Well, this is it. Yeah. This is the slime.
You understand what I mean?
A video that I've been interested in making for a long time is about McDonald's. In this part of the world, what goes into their food? Why do so many people give them grief? And is it really what they say it is? I'm gonna send them a message. Oh! So McDonald's have this thing called the open door tour, which basically opens up the restaurant and their kitchen. So we're gonna go on that tour. I have heard a lot of rumors, like it's not real food, or it's all some weird pink slime. So I'm really curious to look inside today to see what it really is. Very nervous. I mean, they got us dressed like this and I don't know what we're getting into, but I'm excited. It's all about the story. It's about doing what's necessary to really tell the story, to get deep. I feel like a character from Breaking Bad. We are now inside the BRF Sadia factory where all the burgers from McDonald's are made and they go throughout the UAE. I'm looking for all the secrets in here, man. Yeah, we're gonna get to the bottom of this stuff. Investigative journalism at its finest. This is where they bring the pure halal beef and there's nothing else added to this beef?
Nothing, just beef. 100% pure halal beef.
All right, let's see, we're still investigating. So here, that halal meat that we just saw is grinded here. And nothing happens?
Nothing happens, just grind.
This is where patties are made.
Exactly,
And,
yes.
and what was added to the meat to make it?
Nothing at all, nothing.
There has to be something. There has to be something. It can't be this simplistic. So what we're trying to figure out is where's those little things, those little rumors that you hear everywhere, where does that come in? This is where they're all frozen?
Frozen.
And then they're packed.
That's it. So here we receive the product from the line. We prepare the same way that they prepare in McDonald's store.
So this is a McDonald's kitchen here?
Yes. Yes.
Anything happening?
Nothing. Nothing will be added here. 100% pure halal beef. No preservatives, no additives.
I mean, if we can get a couple of buns, some ketchup, pickles, no?
Not here.
Not here? It's a tough one. Let's be real here. Let's talk. One of the biggest things that I think about is, you know, going to McDonald's with my family. And I'm always concerned about sort of where it comes from a health aspect. I want to know what you think about that.
Well, I work here every day. And wherever I go in the world, I will always take my family to McDonald's because I know how it is prepared and how safe it is.
Makes sense, no? All right, so now that we've seen what happens with the meat, let's see what happens with the bread. Off to the bakery. We're about to go in the bakery, so we're gonna take a look at how the bread is made here in the bakery that provides to McDonald's. Apparently, 42,000 buns get made in this factory every hour. Almost here. It's so hot. We've seen the meat factory, we've seen the bread factory. Now let's go to where it all comes together. We're here at a McDonald's store in Dubai where they have their open door tours that lets anyone go inside their kitchen to see exactly how their food is prepared. Let's go in and take a look. Hey, how are you? Hey.
Khaled?
Yeah, Khaled.
You are here for the open door.
Yep, open door. Legit?
Now we are going to make a tour inside the kitchen of McDonald's.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. You can say that stuff for the camera, but like, you know, I need to see this stuff. Just buy the words. Keep the camera rolling, no matter what. This is where the burgers are made, and you're gonna make us what now?
Small cheeseburger.
That's Khalifa's favorite.
This is the patty.
All right.
Now.
Remember these things?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you do to it when it's here?
Very good question.
So,
Now,
but you haven't done anything to it yet. What about the flavor and all?
the only thing we add to the patty in McDonald's is salt and pepper. That's it.
Why do so many people have these rumors about what's in the burger or what you put in the burger? It's not real.
I advise everybody to come and to any McDonald's and ask for an open door tour. And they will come to our kitchen and they will see how transparent. We have nothing to hide. What we cook in the store here is exactly what you are cooking in your house.
Remember? We're at the factory where these buns were made. They're put in here where they're toasted for 20 seconds.
So we put it in the right place now. Cream and garlic. Mustard, ketchup.
Bit of onion.
Stone is for the beef. take it.
That's our patty. This is the part I always wonder. How do you wrap them?
Okay, look.
1,
2, like this. Then, oh, look at it.
perfect.
And
Bye. So, no pink slime, no secrets, no hidden agenda, no. I'm feeling we don't upload this video.
so I will show you now our walk-in cooler where we keep the fresh products.
Can we look inside here? It's okay.
Yes, of course. No cakes here.
I found it.
Oh my.
Found it. This is it. This is the slime.
This is orange juice.
What's that?
Orange juice.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Should we continue with the tour? Or?
Yeah. This is the crew room where our crew are taking their break.
What's in the cupboards?
Here in the cupboard, actually they can put their belongings and they can lock it, and they can take it later when they are leaving for duty.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Please, after you.
Thank you.
Did you get it? Did you get it? I got it. I got it. We're in disguise. Hi, welcome to McDonald's. My parents used to always tell me to never judge something or someone until I take the time to get to know that person or that something myself. It is pretty interesting how McDonald's always seems to get the bad end of the stick when it comes to the things that people say. And at times, I was one of them, buying into rumors and negative news that was spread without any inside knowledge or research of my own. Today I got to show you firsthand what things are like on the inside, which seemed to me like the standard routine process. I also got to spend time with the many people who work there, with the many people who are proud to work there. And there has to be a reason that they're proud to be there. Now, I'm not here to say that they are the tastiest or the healthiest food in the world. I'm not even trying to tell you to go and eat there. All I'm saying is that before we judge something, give them a chance to show you who they really are. Much love, and God bless you all.
Thank you for paying attention to that video. I think it sets the stage for where I'm trying to go with this presentation. And I think it has so many powerful messages that not only about McDonald's, whatever you decide to do with that, but the way we should be looking at life, the way we should be looking at people and not judging them for whatever you may hear on the news, right? So we're going to start right here, start fresh. We're going to remove the negative stuff. We're going to avoid rumors. We're going to avoid passing judgment, and we're going to think good of others. We're going to give people the benefit of the doubt, and we're simply going to try to keep an open mind. And this requires a little bit of discipline. This requires removing images like this, and like this, and this, and this, and even this.
But why? Omar is so sad.
That's my kid. So he's he's 4 years old, almost 4 years old, and he just said, "But why?" Umar is so sad. Umar is his name, and that's like his new phrase. Like every single time I ask him about something or ask him to do something, but why? And the reason for that is why I'm asking us to change the way we think is because we're often too undisciplined to discern those images and the impact of those images, because they're shaping the narrative in our minds. You know, those images are only representative of what? Of those images and the people that are associated in those images. That's it. Not an entire faith, not the police officer in uniform, entire police force. My sister is a Howard County police officer, by the way, coincidentally. Not a skin color, not an ethnicity, right? Images that are only representative of themselves. And we need to become very cognizant of this. This is something that I think we've sort of lost. We're allowing certain things, wherever they may be, to shape our narrative, our way of thinking, the way the way it is. And this is, if you don't become self-aware, if you don't become self-cognizant, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice. So interestingly enough, the Holy Quran actually talks about this. Very interesting. It says that evil things are a characteristic of bad men, and bad men are inclined towards bad things. It's not referring to Muslims or Christians or Jews. It's just referring to a characteristic, right? And good things are a characteristic of good men, and good men are inclined towards good things, right? Make sense? So what is it telling you to do? It's saying, look, don't put everybody all together. Don't lump everything all together. See things for what they are. In this book, one of my favorite books, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, by Dr. Amen. He talks about automatic negative thoughts. And in one example, he talks about depression. And he talks about how people who are at different levels of depression see the world in a very unsatisfactory way. They look at the past with regret. They look at the future with pessimism and anxiety and stress. And they look at the current state with just unhappiness, dissatisfied with the way things are. They see a world that's, as he says, in a sort of grayness, gloomy, cynical. And they constantly have these sort of complaining thoughts that are entering their mind, and that, again, is shaping the narrative. I know I won't pass that test. I know I am going to fail. Simple thoughts like that. They lead to something called a self-fulfilling prophecy. That the individual has convinced themselves that they're going to fail. In contrast, you have people with positive attitudes and positive thoughts. These are people that typically everybody wants to be around. They're just something that radiates from them. You want to be around them, and they look at life in a very different light. They see, even when there's something bad, they see something good. And it does wonders to you, as whether it's your professional life or your personal life, or whether you're a person of faith or no faith, to have that sort of attitude, one of positiveness. And he talks about these things called ants, automatic negative thoughts, and he lays them out in sort of 8 points to give all of us an idea of what that is. Okay, so, and you know what? You'll notice in this process that you don't have to be a depressed person. These are things that are happening to all of us. It happens to me, I can tell you that, right? And so always never thinking, right? Thinking in words like always, never, no one, everyone, every time, everything. He always does it like that. She never does that. Implications. Focusing on the negative, seeing only the bad in a particular situation. You know, you get a cold, right? And your whole day is now ruined because you have this cold, right? And there's certain people that you just take it to a really different level. I ask you to go visit the cancer wing at one of the hospitals. See life in a different way. Fortune telling, predicting the worst possible outcome in a situation. How many of us do that? You know, I was just speaking to someone at the lunch break, and she was telling me, her name was, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. She was telling me of a plane ride that she went on. And it was so rough, it was so bad that she started doing her thing, and she had decided that this is it. Today is my last day, right? How often do we, when we hit a patch of turbulence, this is normal, or not normal, but quite normal to a lot of us, we start thinking this is it, we're done, right? Thinking the worst of a situation. Mind reading, right? Believing that you know what others are thinking, even without even saying it, right? Assuming that you already know what they're going to say. Guilt-baiting, thinking in words like should, must, ought, labeling, attaching a negative label to yourself or someone. Welcome to my world, right? Muslim, brown. I'm not supposed to stop saying brown skin. Somebody told me it's not brown skin. You're like yellow or something. So I'll. I often tweet that we need to avoid looking at someone with brown skin, a beard, professing the Muslim faith in a certain way, right? And blaming someone else for your own problems. This is very interesting. If you, a little bit of history here. I'm sure there's people with better historical knowledge than I am. But this is a pretty major situation. You know, when we look at Nazi Germany in World War II, it was not something that just happened overnight. It was a result of blaming someone else in that particular situation, the Jewish people, which was, Germany was a very economically deprived nation. So what do? Hitler comes in and he says, this is why this is all happening. This is the reason. And what did that lead to? Millions of people who lost their lives. Should we see them as any different? You have a woman with a coat who you can tell is cold. We'll justify that. I mean, I even justify it, right? It's snowing, it's cold, she's covering herself up, right? We have the nuns on the bottom. We justify that because that's how it's supposed to, that's what nuns look like, right? But when it comes to that figure on the right, we say, no, you know what? She's not educated. Oh, that poor woman. Oh, that force that they must put on her. That lack of choice. Forgetting that maybe she's only doing that because she wants to practice her faith. She wants to carry herself in a modest way. Why do we see those images as any different? And it's not just those images. Again, this presentation is not just Islam, 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 Islam. This is a presentation to look deep inside all of ourselves, right? When we walk by and we see a person cleaning versus when we see a person in a suit. Our bodies, our minds, we make certain decisions at that point. Maybe he's less educated. He doesn't have anything better to do. Oh, I'm better than that person for whatever reason. We do these sort of things. They're happening all the time within us at every single moment. And it's something that we need to be cognizant of.
I have had people to walk past me and say, "Get a job, bum." And I said, wait a minute, I'm not a bum, I'm a human being. My name is Ronald Davis. I've been on the street for about 1.5 years now. Well, I come from the suburbs. Life, which is rough. And I done slept in Lower Wacker, I done slept on the bridges, I done slept in little cardboard boxes and stuff, just surviving, especially in the wintertime is the hardest time. And I go to fill out applications for a job and stuff. They look at me, I'm not looking presentable, and then we'll call you, leave a number. But how can I leave a number when I don't have a phone? So it's just a struggle out there, I just, from day to day, people, I come out here and panhandle with my cup. Right here at the Metro train station, people come off bringing me sandwiches and stuff like this here. And I start out in my morning about 6 o'clock. Sometimes I don't even have enough to go to the flop house. Sometimes the flop house is a cheap place and they number $16 for 24 hours right over there on Clark and Van Buren. And a lot of times I don't have enough money for that, so I had to end up sleeping in the park or on one of these benches downtown or something like this, and then the security guards come and run you off about 5 or 6 in the morning. So by 6 o'clock I started panhandling and trying to survive. And like I said before, some days I don't even have enough to get a room, so I just sleep on the street. But I depend on the people that's coming off the train because most of them I give them respect. Most of them like me. They come out and give me clothes and food and stuff like this here so I can survive. Give me a few bucks and everything, and I add it up at the end of the day and get me a little room for the night. And whenever I'm not fortunate enough to get the room, I just sleep in the street wherever I can. It's really humiliating to be shaking a cup 24 hours a day and people just look at you like you some kind of little bum, I have had people to walk past me and say, "Get a job, bum." And I said, wait a minute, I'm not a bum, I'm a human being. And it's hard. But after the end of the day, when people go home and everybody get on the metro train and then I just feel so bad that I can't be going home, I'm sorry. But it's really emotional because I'm really trying to get myself together and get off this tree. You know, I don't care what it's doing. If I can get a job and through this humility, you know, I mean, you just lose all your humility when you're shaking a cook begging. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can look at a person and tell if they give you respect or not. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at you like you're just a piece of crumb. You know, I had one guy walk past me and talked about me so bad, and then I just looked at him. I said, God bless you, sir. He walked past and went down the street, come right back. And he said, you know what, man, I had a bad day. He said, I'm sorry for even calling you that. He said, because I know you're a human being. He said, would you accept my apology? I said, apology accepted. He went in his pocket and gave me $30 and said, go get you a room and get you something to eat. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, no matter what people think about me, I know I'm a human first. And just because I'm down on my luck, don't give nobody no excuse to call me no bum. Because I'm not.
So we're not that different. You know, we all have a story, and we need to remember that. That situation of that gentleman is something that anyone can be in. We don't know what the future holds. Right? And yes, we belong to different cultures and different systems, or different parts of the world, but we're really not different. We're really not that different. We all want sort of the same thing: happiness, joy, success, the ability to achieve something. And the Quran actually talks about our differences. It says that, all mankind, indeed, we have created you from a male and a female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. It's actually by design. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah, God, is the most righteous of you. Change your brain, change your life. Solution. It talks about what can you do? What are the solutions? Because remember, as I mentioned, this is not just Islam. Yes, Islam is in the media a lot these days. Yes, someone who looks like me is in the media a lot these days, or someone who professes a Muslim faith. But this is something much larger, right? Realize your negative thoughts, or have an understanding that your thoughts are real. They're actually real. They're actually having an effect on your day-to-day. Notice how negative thoughts are affecting your body. So when you're having a negative thought, if you're angry or you're upset, become cognizant enough to recognize, okay, how is this affecting my body? This is going to take a little bit of work. It'll help you. How is a positive thought affecting your body? When you're happy, when you do something good for someone, right? When you're in a jolly mood, cognizant of your body, your physical body, and everything else in between. Think of bad thoughts as pollution. Understand that your automatic thoughts don't always tell the truth, right? I gave the example about the plane. So I asked her at the end, you know, you landed, right? You made it back safe. So the reality is that the mind is powerful. That mind had convinced her that this is it. I'm finished. I'm going to give off my last prayers. So they're not always right. So you have to talk back to them. In the book, it's very interesting that when the book talks about this, it says that, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's saying like, so, for example, all white people are like this. All black people are like this. All people with beards are like this. If that thought is coming in your mind, it's saying talk back to that thought to exterminate it. So you say, no, I do not believe all white people are like this. No, I do not believe all black, and so on. So you start fresh, and you keep that theme in mind, right? Remove the negative stuff, remove the rumors, avoid passing judgment. Think good of others. Keep an open mind, and give people the benefit of the doubt. And going in that book, as I mentioned, it talks about fortune-telling ants. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but even for that, it gives you a solution. So fortune-telling ants are those automatic negative thoughts that are telling you, that are already telling you what the outcome is going to be. Okay? You're forecasting the outcome. So he says, write down this event that's causing you anxiety. You notice these events, you notice these thoughts, odds are you're anxious and your thoughts are predicting a negative outcome. I personally notice, as the day is going down, my ability to think properly at times is not the same. I'm working on my laptop, I'm on my computer, but I've gotten a good sense of this. That, you know what, now it's time to close this thing, start fresh, and it actually works. So identify those thoughts, talk back to those ants, and write them down to diffuse what those ants. The Holy Quran also adds to this. It says that ye who believe, avoid most of suspicions, right? For suspicion in some cases is a sin. And spy not, nor backbite one another. Would any of you like to eat the flesh of his brother who is dead? This is really, really strong words. I mean, just think about that for a second. Backbiting, ill thinking, thinking negatively of others. It's saying that's equivalent to possibly eating, the dead flesh of your brother. Who would want to do that? So in Islam 101, what I'm going to cover is the Holy Quran. I'm going to cover Muhammad, Big Bang, loyalty to nation, Sharia, I know that's a big one, so we'll get to that one too. And jihad and women equality, right?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
الحمد لله رب العالمين
Praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds.
الرحمن الرحيم
The Beneficent, the Merciful.
مالك يوم الدين
Owner of the Day of Judgment.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين
Thee alone we worship, Thee alone we ask for help.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم
Show us the straight path.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
The path of those whom Thou hast favored, not the path of those who earn Thine anger, nor of those who go astray.
So this is the opening verses of the Holy Quran. And I know in the world that we're living in today, because we're often hearing these sort of verses, and there's a negative connotation. That's Arabic. That's the original language of the Holy Quran. And that's the opening verses of the Holy Quran. The first 7. It's something that every Muslim in the entire world, at least 5 times a day, because there's 5 prayers, recites. It's that common. And the Holy Quran was something that was, who Muslims believe to be the literal word of God. It was revealed about 1400 years ago, and it was revealed in the Arabic language. Muslims also believe that it is a book that is, it's here for all time, in a nutshell. You'll never see a Quran in just English, or just French, or just Spanish. And there's a reason for that. Because the Quran is still preserved in originality from over 1400 years ago till today. So anytime you see Spanish or English or whatever, you'll always see the Arabic text next to it. On top of it, one of the ways that it has been preserved is that millions of people, at least hundreds of thousands of people, have memorized the entire book from front to back. So it's about 1/5 the size of the Bible, and it's something that it's easier to perhaps memorize, as they say, from a scientific standpoint, the way the language is written out. My own son has memorized significant portions, and someone who memorizes the whole Quran is known as a hafiz. That means not that I would hope for something like this. If there are 0 Qurans today, these people could come together and just recreate the entire Holy Quran. So Muhammad is someone that you probably are somewhat familiar with to a certain extent. Many people are, unfortunately, in a negative light. He was the person who founded Islam. He was the person who is, as I mentioned, the founder of Islam, but he was born, as far as the person himself, he was born over 1400 years ago. He is considered one of the Abrahamic prophets. And, his dad passed away before he was even born. And his mother passed when he was approximately 6 years old. So he lived a good amount of his life with his uncle. There's a reason why you don't see a face, and this is, again, for being informed, having knowledge and understanding, because we don't have a picture of him. We only have what he may have looked like. So Muslims, when the whole cartoon thing came in the news about someone drawing Muhammad, why do Muslims take offense to that? Is because because of the level that he holds. We don't, and for us to just guess what he looked like, there's nothing that can match up to that. And so that is the same for other prophets, by the way, Abraham and Noah. That's by the way that Muslims believe to be prophets of God. We don't draw any one of them. If we had a real picture, well, that would be a different story, but we don't. Another reason is that he was born in Mecca, okay? And he was buried in Medina. Now, it's interesting because, what a lot of people don't know is why, Mecca is the holy city, right? But he's not buried there. He's actually buried in Medina. And the primary reason for that is that when he claimed that he had been chosen and that that revelation had come to him, and that Muslims became persecuted by the Meccans to the extent that he had to migrate all the way to Medina. And because, even though he eventually came back to Mecca, even though the people from Medina gave him homage, he never forgot that. And that's why, even till this very day, he's buried there. Big Bang and evolution. Believe it or not, in Islam believes in the Big Bang theory. And even evolution. With the exception in evolution that the Holy Quran or Islam does not believe in that we were created from apes. We believe as Muslims that mankind, humanity, was a separate, independent entity. The reason I put this slide up of prophets and the similarities is just to show you. I mean, if you look at one of these first verses, it says, "And verily we gave Moses the book and caused after him messengers to follow in his footsteps. And to Jesus, son of Mary, we gave manifest signs and strengthened him with the spirit of holiness. Will you then, every time a messenger comes to you with what you yourself desire not, behave arrogantly and treat some as liars and slay others?" And in the following verse, it talks about Noah and Abraham. And the reason why I put this up is because Islam is an Abrahamic faith. And in order to be a Muslim, I have to believe in Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, and Noah, peace be upon him, and Ishmael, peace be upon him, and Adam, who we believe, by the way, was a prophet of God. However, we as Muslims don't believe Adam to be the first person on earth. We believe that there were people there. He was the first person that God spoke to. Sharia. Now, well, that's a billboard. It's very interesting, the bad rep that Sharia has gotten. It's just all over the place, and it drives you crazy because even when people are talking about it, they're like, Sharia's coming, and if you have the word Sharia, they're like quiet. They're totally quiet. Even some of the most pros, Sharia law, they're coming to take it over. It drives you insane. But I'm going to give you a little bit of insight exactly what Sharia is. What about if I were to tell you that Sharia, this is great knowledge, actually translates into a path to life-giving water. It's a moral code for me as an individual to live by. It's my 10 commandments. It's my spiritual code. How do I carry myself as a person? So the 10 Commandments, I threw a picture here. No adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Things like don't drink alcohol, gambling, eating pork. These are all forms of Sharia. Take care of the orphan. Take care of your parents when they're old. These are all forms of Sharia law. There's literally over 700 commandments that are in the Quran that are telling me what I should be doing for my day-to-day behavior. So are Muslims loyal to America? Well, you tell me. I mean, you have a Muslim Marine in front of you who's proud of himself of being a Muslim, an American, a U.S. Marine veteran. There was never any conflict of interest when I joined the Marine Corps. It was very Muslim of me to join the Marine Corps. That's why I joined. I practiced my faith. Everybody knew that I was a Muslim. And these individuals right here, I'm sure you've heard the story of Captain Humayun Khan in the center, top. But it's not just him. There's many others. And this is just a small picture of just a representation of a very few who've served in the U.S. Army, but they've died in serving this nation. Staff Sergeant Kendall Damon, right next to Captain Humayun Khan, who died in a helicopter crash. Staff Sergeant Iman Taha, who left a PhD program in Berkeley to go serve his nation because of the skills that he had. Language, culture, religious understanding. To help the United States of America, who died and never came back. Major Ahern, all the way on the left, back there. Died, left a small daughter and a wife back. One other piece that I want to add to this is people still question. They say, no, I don't believe it. So one of the most logical sort of answers that I can give people is that, when it comes to, can Muslims serve in the U.S. Army? I mean, obviously, I'm one of them. I've served in the U.S. Armed Forces. But is it sincere? Okay? And of course it is. And so what I try to tell people is that if you look at Muslim nations today, right? For example, Saudi Arabia and Iran. They've been at conflict for so many years. Iraq and Iran were. And all of those people in those nations are predominantly Muslim, right? But when's the last time you saw a Muslim soldier from Iraq and a Muslim soldier from Iran, he throws his weapon to the side, he said, hey man, give me a hug, we're Muslims. You've never seen that, right? So just like that, a Muslim is required wherever he lives. If I live in the United States, so if I was living in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or wherever, I would be loyal to that country. But I live in the United States of America. This is my residence, so I am loyal to the United States of America. Sharia versus governance. President Kennedy says, I believe in America where the separation of church and state is absolute. Exactly what Islam believes. Believe it or not. Remember, Sharia is a personal, moral, individual code for me, a code of conduct for me to live by. Right? Not for me to enforce on anybody else. There's a verse in the Holy Quran that says that there's no compulsion in the matter of religion. There's no compulsion in the matter. I cannot force you to become a Muslim. And you know what? Just think about it common sense wise, right? If I took a gun and said, hey, convert or die, you might say I convert because you want to save your life. But did I win your heart? Islam is about winning hearts through rational argument. And so governance is talked about in Holy Quran, but it's only talked about in one very simple way. You'll be shocked. Justice. That is the only condition that Quran asks you to do. That a government should be based on absolute justice. Not a Christian government, not a Muslim government, not a Jewish, none of that stuff. Just a government that is based on absolute justice. It's almost sort of like the government that we have, regardless of what the people's opinions are these days, in the United States of America. Okay? Where in the House, if you want to bring something into law, you come up with some sort of resolution or law or whatever, and then you get everybody else on board. And if the majority of people agree, then it becomes law. And if they don't, it doesn't become law. That's actually what Islam encourages. That's exactly Islam. That's why Muslims that are living here, they love America because America's practicing it. For jihad, now you see stuff like this. Again, it's like Sharia. Certain things that kind of drive you crazy as a Muslim, right? You're like, God, man, what are these people saying? It's just nuts, right? You see images like this, and they frame your mind and your way of thinking that this is what jihad is. And even this, check this out. I love how whoever these people are, they come up with this stuff. But you need to see it. But remember those ants. Automatic negative thoughts. You need to be able to decipher, right? You can't just take something and just say this is the way it is. It doesn't work like that. I'm asking you to go a step further and look and go further deep into it. So what about if I were to tell you that jihad was about being the first to apologize? That is it's a struggle. It means to strive, to struggle. Being the first to sincerely forgive. Doing what's right when no one is looking. For example, I travel, and I'm a guy, okay? And sometimes, you're in situations, where the opposite sex is attractive to you. For example, at least in my case, right? And I'm like, so I see something, right? And I'm like, God, okay. I look away, all right? Now, no one knows this but me. But this is my jihad. So instead of checking her out and going from top to all that stuff, right? I'm just like, no, you cannot be doing this, right? And I turn the other way, right? So many times, I know personally, you have no idea. It's my personal jihad, right? So that is jihad right there. The struggle to become that better person individually. Controlling your anger. Come on, this is something that applies to everybody, right? I've tried to, there's a story where the Holy Prophet is walking by and Abu Bakr, one of his very close companions, there's guys yelling at him, screaming at him, listening, and Abu Bakr is just standing there like this, just shaking his head up and down. All of a sudden, he finally just bursts, right? And he's like, whatever he said back to him, right? And the Holy Prophet, he sees the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet turns and just starts walking away. And Abu Bakr notices this thing, and he goes up to, he leaves the fight, he runs to Prophet Muhammad, and he says, "Ya Muhammad, Prophet, what did I do?" He said, Abu Bakr, listen, when you were taking it, there was angels throwing blessings. I could see the angels putting blessings on you. And the moment you spoke back, they left. So I decided to leave too. Right? So removing your ego, your arrogance, this is often the crux of our issues. Not saying I'm right and you're wrong, even when you're right. Even when you're right. So you're going a step further, right? You know you're right, and you say, you know what? Okay. Right? That's the ultimate jihad. Keeping it honest, because I have to keep it honest. People say, oh man, this guy's making stuff up. Come on, I've heard of a different jihad. So I'm going to keep it honest. You expect that from me. The Quran does talk about fighting. Permission to take up arms and is given to those against whom war is made, because they have been wronged. And Allah indeed has power to help them. Those who have been driven out of their homes unjustly, only because they said our Lord is Allah, and if Allah had not repelled some people by means of others, cloisters and churches and synagogues and mosques, wherein the name of Allah is often recited, God is recited, would surely have been destroyed. This is religious freedom. I don't know if you picked up on it. So this is, again, common sense. You're at your house and somebody breaks in. Islam doesn't tell you to just sit there and just, go ahead, kill me. It's time, you have to defend yourself. When the Holy Prophet Muhammad left Mecca, he didn't want any war. That's why he left. He migrated. They kicked him out. He left. They chased him all the way to there. So God says, okay, now you have to pick up arms. Isn't that what we would do in the United States of America today? If somebody came in here and we said, turn the other cheek, as some people use this example. No, we have to use somewhat of our common senses here, that fighting is a bad thing. We recognize that, right? But that is the lower form of jihad. In fact, after a fight, one of the companions turns to the Prophet Muhammad, and I think they had won some battle or something, and he says, oh, he's complimenting him. Oh, Prophet Muhammad, this was great. We're happy. We won. And he says, no, now we're going back to the greater jihad. That's the jihad of the self, to become a better human, because that's much harder than picking up a weapon. Are men and women equal? Well, I have to go to the source. Don't take my word for it, right? So this is just one of many verses in the Holy Quran, which I'll read it if somebody can't read it from the back. It says, surely men who submit to themselves to God, and women who submit themselves to Him, and believing men and believing women, and obedient men and obedient women, and truthful men and truthful women, and men steadfast in their faith and steadfast women, and men who are humble and women who are humble, and men who give alms and women who give alms, and men who fast and women who fast, and men who guard their chastity, and men and women who guard their chastity, and men who remember Allah much, and men and women who remember Him, Allah has prepared for all of them forgiveness and a great reward. This is why, I was sitting over there, and again, we're having a conversation, and it was Julie, I think Dr. Julie, she's giving another session, and she said, "Oh, I found out that you're giving this session. I just want to tell you, I came across some interesting fact that there's more engineer women that are coming from the Arab world than the United States, or something of that sort." And I didn't even know the fact. So she said, "Oh yeah, we went to Tunisia, we went to Jordan, right?" So this, believe it or not, 1,400 years ago, way before the United States of America, way before Western society, the Quran revealed a woman's right to divorce, the right to own property, the right to vote, the right to an education, the right to choose whom she wishes to marry. 1,400 years ago. Just do your history check. You'll see when we got to that and when Islam got to it. This is fact, this is reality. And we've had, in the Muslim world, tons of women head the state. Last time I checked, in the United States, I think 0, something like that. I'm just saying, we haven't gone to that, that's okay. I get it, that's a separate matter. But the point is, to point fingers unnecessarily when it's not true, it's just not right, right? So remember these images. In fact, Benazir Bhutto is from the country that I was born in, Pakistan, which is a highly conservative Muslim society, Muslim majority society, and she was the prime minister there. So as I mentioned, I put this slide up because it just helps you to realize, let's start fresh, keep that mind clear, let's not think anything, because I know even in this process, those things happen. So give me the benefit of the doubt, hopefully, and try to think good. That's it. Customs and practices. I wanted to cover this because we live in a society where we're just unaware of a lot of things, like in our day-to-day life. There's one part, that's what the faith is. There's the other part, what is the day-to-day life, so you're able to be better informed in dealing with such situations. So that thing, that's in Mecca. It's called the Kaaba. And Muslims believe that to be the first house of God made by Abraham. And now it's been demolished since and open, it's been rebuilt, all that kind of stuff. It's not like the original, but that's where it was built, and it's been rebuilt many, many times. In fact, this little thing is very hard to see. Right there, it's like this little gold thing. I've actually been there. It's this place where they have the footprints. It's really amazing, marvelous sight to see the footprints of Abraham, like from thousands of years ago, right there. So people always take a peek in there and just, as they go around. So the Kaaba is not what Muslims are worshiping. The Kaaba is the direction which Muslims face when praying. It's unity, it's brotherhood, it's togetherness. So men, women, wherever you are, you face towards this 5 times a day. Early morning, early afternoon, early evening, and late evening. I know it seems like a lot, but you get used to it, and you figure it out. The holy month of Ramadan, what is it? So Ramadan is the month of fasting. It's very long. It's 30 days. Oh man, and we feel it. And you need to know. Because when I used to work at the federal government, at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and I was fasting, and it's not their fault or whatever, but you open your door, you're fasting, you smell, everything smells good at that time. I don't even know what they were eating, all right? So fast, it is a requirement, it's incumbent upon Muslims to fast once a year. And Islam is based on the lunar calendar. So every year it goes back about 2 weeks. It's never on the same time. Which means that you cover the peak and the winter days as well, right? So I'm looking forward to, 15 more years when I get to the winter part. Because we're in May now, all right? I think this year starts in May. So the days are 15, 16, 17 hours long. You can't eat anything and you can't drink anything, okay? There's no sexual relations during those hours. There's no, unnecessary talk, arguments, fighting. And only during certain times, for example, if you're traveling, right? Or if a woman is on her cycle, if a woman is pregnant, at that time she is not supposed to fast. She's forbidden to fast, actually. In fact, even if you're diabetic and you take certain medications, you're not supposed to fast. So it's a balanced pace, and it's something that it is, as I said, incumbent. And what do they call that? The keto diet now, right? I'm telling you, it's weird. They're saying that it works. So what's with the shaking hands and the hugs? So I thought that was a pretty cool picture. So in Islam, men and women, though equal, there's a level of separation, okay? And it's not because one is higher than the other. It's for the safeguarding and the protection, as Islam sees, for each individual. We don't shake hands across genders. We don't hug across genders. Meaning, and that's only, of course, for people that you have no clue about. I'm referring to, but when it comes to your brother, your sister, your husband, wife, children, mom, dad, those are okay. And this garb that you see Muslim women donning, remember, in the earlier verses, there was a verse about Jesus, son of Mary. Mary in Holy Quran is mentioned as one of the most righteous women to have ever walked this earth. I mean, that's the designation that she has. So when Muslim women are wearing these clothes, they're honestly just trying to emulate a little bit of her. Just walk into a church, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know? In addition, as far as relationships and dating and intermingling and things of that nature, there's boundaries. Islam is always about a faith about prevention. There was a concert, I think last year, can't remember where it was, where the women, many women complained about the sort of things that took place there. And the following year, they changed their entire policy, and they said no men would be coming to that concert. Okay? So when it comes to even relationships, people wonder, okay, how do they get married? Is dating allowed? So dating isn't allowed. But how do they get married? There's no forced marriage. It's facilitated marriage. The concept is that you don't need to know the person. You need to know about the person more than that you need to actually know them. You can get to know them a little bit later. That's the concept, right? You need to know about their character, what kind of what kind of person they were, who they are, how they behave, how they act, right? And now even so many places are saying that dating, the person that you see on a date is just a very different person than the person that often becomes a spouse. Like, whoa, what happened here? I thought you were like this, So Islam, in Islam, you have these things where, it talks about it that there are 4 things that a man or a woman looks for. They look for wealth. They look for a name recognition or the family someone belongs to. And the Holy Prophet suggests to both parties, male or female, that leave all that to the side and seek righteousness as their first, because character is more beautiful than anything else. What's up with the beards and the hats? This is a picture that I often tweet, and it's a friend of mine, he's an active duty Air Force veteran, and he's a veteran, and he's an active duty Air Force officer right now. He works at the Pentagon, and I'm there in the middle. Beards are something called sunnah. Sunnah is the practices and the way the Holy Prophet lived his life. So since he had a beard, we try to keep a beard. Since Abraham had a beard, and Jesus, peace be upon them, all have a beard, we try to emulate them. They ate from their right hand, I try to eat from my right hand, right? Be like them because we believe they were sort of the perfect example, right? The way they carried themselves day to day. So it's not required, but it's something that we do as a practice because the Holy Prophet did it. And as far as caps are concerned, there's many different types that you'll see. And it's something that I put on when I pray. Has anyone ever seen the movie Passion of the Christ? It was a while back. Anybody? All right. I watched it too. So, every time Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, walks into a synagogue or a place of worship, he always puts something on his head. So it's out of humility. That's mainly it, and respect. Why do they dress like that? I covered a little bit of this already. But Muslim women, they prefer that you value their intellect over their bodies. We live in a highly sexualized society today. I mean, just turn on your commercials, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's nothing, it's nothing shocking. We realize it. I mean, it shocks me, what's become the norm. You turn on a rap video. I don't listen to rap. I mean, but I used to when I was in high school. Okay, I did listen to some Tupac, but I'll be honest, right? But man, as you grow up and you understand, you're like, whoa, some of this stuff isn't right. And you see the way that the women in those videos are showcased. I mean, I'll say, keep your thing, I'll keep my Islam. All right, that's it. I'm happy with it. But to me, that's not the way they're portrayed is not respect. And we're seeing that now through this Me Too movement. We're seeing it all come out, right? So Muslim women are, as I mentioned, by default, when they dress like this, they're trying to emulate Mary. Okay, they're trying to be righteous. They're trying to protect themselves, and they're saying, "Hey, keep your distance." Okay, and you'll see across different cultures. That's why I put up different pictures on how they do it. And just for the record, this is not how they're in the houses. Okay, they're much more casual than this. This is only when they're out and about in society around unknown people or individuals, right? But within their fathers and their mothers and their brothers and their sisters, and maybe it's just a jeans and a shirt, depending on wherever you come from, right? All right, happy hour and socializing. We're all professionals. I grew up in the United States of America, elementary, middle school, high school, Marine Corps, undergrad, graduate. Everything's been here. My life is here, right? And so I'm familiar with the sort of things that take place. And I think just being better informed, the people that are around me, that know me, I typically don't have a difficult time. They're like, we're friends. I'm in touch with Marines right now. They're Christians. They don't practice faith. It doesn't matter. They've even come and spent a night at my house. We're all respectful of each other, but that's because we have conversation. We have dialogue. We know each other, right? So as I mentioned, alcohol is forbidden in Islam. Drugs, or even now marijuana, I know it's allowed in some places. I don't know if it's here or not. But that's forbidden in Islam. Okay? Gambling is forbidden. And now, interestingly enough, the Quran actually talks about it and says, there's some good in some of these things, but there's more harm. Right? So, anytime anyone wants to, just go look at last year how many people died from alcohol-related incidents. How many people ruined their lives from alcohol. So Islam says, don't even go near it, because there's more harm than good. Gambling. Anyone win the lottery here yet? Right? Go to a casino, see how much you come back with, right? Just check it out, right? The point is, Islam is about prevention, right? It's looking out for me and my greater good. And so when it tells me to avoid these practices, it tells me that this is your way to, your heaven, or your being a good person, or being a productive part of society. It's not because I look down on someone who drinks alcohol or gambles. It says that there's more danger in it than it's good. So just stay away from it. True Islam summed up. There are only two complete parts of faith. One is to love God, and the other is to love mankind to such a degree that you consider the suffering, trials, and tribulations of others as your own, and that you pray for them. You may rarely ever hear a quote like this. This is by the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the Promised Messiah, who claimed himself to be the Messiah of the later times. And this is a summation of what I believe as a Muslim. I thought long and hard about putting up this picture over the last couple of days. Even this morning, I was thinking about removing it. I said, what message am I trying to send the audience that's going to be listening? But then I decided to go with it. And I'm going to explain why. There's not a day that goes by in my life, for me. Everything works. People have different ways of dealing with things. There's not a day that goes by in my life, for me personally, that I don't think about this. It is this thing that keeps me in check. The reminder that this life is temporary, regardless of whatever faith you believe or you don't believe, that my end result, my final destination, is 6 feet under. And it's this realization that allows me to try to be a decent or a productive, thinking good of others or whatever type of human being. And I think we have a choice to make, whether it's individuals here or whoever it is, the legacy that you want to leave behind. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as the guy or an individual that brought people together, that created compassion and kindness, in a nice environment? Or the hateful person, the one that always got angry, the negative person? And this is a choice I think that we all have to make. And for me, it's this reality that it keeps me in check. So I hope that this presentation has been helpful for you. I've also launched something called a resource center at muslimmarine.org very recently. And it allows people to have direct access to an imam. If You have a question for an imam, for example, right? And you can just literally reach out to them. They'll answer your question. If you want to visit a mosque, if you've never seen one, you can go there and I'll help connect you with a mosque. There's also other resources here, what I thought would be productive for people. With that, I will close it. This is my information. And one last piece, actually. I haven't done this before, but I brought my business cards. And my business cards have my name on it and my cell phone on it. And I want to make sure that I'm accessible. You know, I don't want to be seen as a guy who's on the podium or the speaker or on a television screen if I'm on CNN or something else. I just don't like that very much. I like people to know that I'm easily accessible. So if anyone would like, my business card is here today. You're welcome to take it. It includes my cell phone number. You don't have to hesitate to call me, email me, whatever. Perfectly fine. No big deal. Thank you very much.